Pure One Environmental presents the PureCrete road-based application process. Instructions for engineers and applicator personnel. PureCrete is a complex, non-bacterial, concentrated multi-enzyme formulation that alters the properties of Earth's soil materials, providing one of the most cost-effective methods to stabilize road base. PureCrete is the world's finest products for road base stabilization because it has been confirmed by testing to be 6 to 8 times stronger than the conventional method of constructing road base. PureCrete is not a new product. It was developed over 15 years ago and is presently being used in over 8 countries. PureCrete can be used in 80% of the soil types and conditions in the world. Soil sampling is required to determine the granulometric analysis of the soil and the moisture content. The range and parameters of the soil requirements should conform to the specifications published in the Pure One Technical Manual and or the Distributor's Technical Bulletin. PureCrete is an organic enzyme formulation designed to maximize compaction and increase the natural properties of soil to optimal conditions. An enzyme is a natural organic compound similar to proteins which act as a catalyst. Their large molecule structure contains active sites and assists molecular bonding and interaction. When mixed with water and applied prior to compaction, PureCrete acts upon organic fines contained in the soil through a catalytic bonding process, producing a strong cementation action. Unlike inorganic or petroleum-based products which temporarily hold soil together, PureCrete causes the soil to bond during compaction into a dense, permanent base which resists water penetration, weathering, and wear. The curing process takes 72 hours under normal summer conditions. PureCrete's formulation increases the wetting action of the water for increased penetration to assist compaction to obtain greater soil densities. Also, PureCrete accelerates cohesive bonding of soil particles, creating a tight permanent stratum. Unlike inorganic or petroleum-based products with their temporary action, PureCrete creates a dense and permanent base which resists water penetration, weathering, and wear. In normal road construction methods, compaction in the 90% range is normal. With PureCrete, compaction of up to 105% can be expected. The unique strength properties that PureCrete has are due in part to the construction process design. A PureCrete compacted layer is constructed exactly as a sheet of plywood is constructed. For this reason, the correct application of PureCrete is very crucial to forming the dense permanent base. Compacting of the soil in 2-inch or 5-centimeter layers is the most important element of the application process. Thicker layers are not acceptable. This structure multiplies the strength coefficient as it does with plywood. This is also the reason that compaction of up to 105% is routinely expected. The application, road segment. The very first item to be determined or selected is the length of the segment of road to be processed. This may be determined by the amount of men and equipment and the experience of the operators. Less experienced operators should be required to work a shorter length of road and increase the length as experience and increased number of pieces of equipment are added. For a single operating crew to be properly trained and certified, it is required that this crew successfully completes the application of PureCrete on 3 segments of road. A training application crew will consist of 1 piece of the required equipment, with the exception of a water truck, which always requires a minimum of 2 water trucks. It is recommended that a training section of road start out at 300 meters, the second training segment at 500 meters, and the third segment at 700 meters. At the end of each segment, a turnaround area must be planned for use. All of the equipment must turn around and work from the opposite direction. It is important that this area be large enough to position the required equipment. Water. The water source is essential in the application of PureCrete, and the water source must be selected and identified. If it is a fixed source, the number of water trucks must be selected to ensure that there is a full water truck available at all times on the application site. If it is a portable water supply, the plans and execution for repositioning it should be a priority. The refilling of the water trucks must be done quickly, and if a water pump is required, it should be used. The water can be from any source and be of any quality. The required equipment needed. First is the water trucks. The water truck should be a minimum of 2,000 gallon or 8,000 liters in capacity. It must be mounted with a rear mounted spray bar. There are several different designs that are being used by applicators. The most important factor in the application of water mixed with PureCrete is that the distribution of water from the spray bar be even and consistent. The optimum configuration would be for the driver to operate the opening and closing of the water flow to the spray bar from the driver's compartment. The alternate choice is to have a driver stationed at the rear of the truck and have him manually operate the supply of water to the spray bar. The number of water trucks that are required per production team will normally range from 3 to 6 depending upon the distance from the water source and the length of the road segment to be processed. The production teams are organized into 2 groups. The day 1 group consists of a minimum of 2 water trucks, and they operate only on day 1 of the process. The water source distance and segment length will determine the number of water trucks needed. A minimum of 2 water trucks will be required for day 2 operations. It is imperative that water is available without interruption during the day 2 operation. The water truck driver should be a very skilled operator. Road grader. The road grader should be a heavy-duty type with a 14 to 16 foot blade and a 5-rate rear-mounted scarifier. 1 road grader is required for a training team. Multiple road graders are recommended for a production team. A production team should utilize at least 2 road graders per group. 2 road graders for day 1 operations and 2 road graders for day 2 operations. The day 2 road grader operator should be the best skilled operator of the entire team. The next skilled operator should be the day 1 road grader operator. A front-mounted rake for scarifying is not acceptable and not recommended. The day one road grader function is ripping the soil to the desired depth, and with the road grader blade mix the PureCrete treated water with the soil. Mixing is the only function that is done on day one, and the same operation is repeated on every day one operation. This is why each crew gets more efficient and faster as they get more experience doing the same tasks over and over. The sheep's foot or pad compactor with vibrating attachment is the next piece of equipment. The sheep's foot or pad compactor is the first compactor used to compact the 2-inch or 5-centimeter layer of soil on day two operations. This equipment should be a 10 to 15 ton rubber tire drive type. The piece of equipment should be equipped with a vibrating capability. This should be a separate self-propelled piece of equipment and not a pull-along trailer type. The number of sheep's foot compactors will depend upon the length of the road segment and the size of the team. Since the sheep foot compactor is a slower operation, more units are required to keep up with the pace of the operation. A training team should consist of 1 sheep's foot. A production team will require 2 to 3 sheep's foot compactors. This piece of equipment is used on day 2 only. The drum compactor with vibrating attachment. The drum compactor with the vibrating attachment is the second compactor used in the day 2 process. This should be a minimum of a 15-ton compactor, with the most desirable being a 20-ton compactor. This compacting operation is the slowest of all of the operations and must be done correctly and completely. This piece of equipment requires the most number of units to keep up with the production pace of the other pieces of equipment. Only 1 drum compactor is required for a training team, but for a production team, depending upon the length of the road segment and the select number of other pieces of equipment, 3 to 5 drum compactors will be required. The drum compactor should also be equipped with a drum blade to maintain a clean drum to prevent buildup from sticky or high moisture content soil. The vibrating attachment is engaged for the 3/4 of the compacting operation. The last quarter of the compacting operation is done with the vibrating attachments disengaged. As with the sheep's foot compactor, the drum compactor must be self-propelled unit and not a pull-along trailer type. The drum compactor is used only on day 2. The pneumatic finishing compactor, or commonly called tire roller. The pneumatic finishing compactor is used last in the process, and its purpose is to provide a smooth surface. This piece of equipment is used to provide a finished PureCrete based surface when no other finished layer is going to be applied to the surface. This compactor should be a minimum of a 10 tire type and 7 to 10 tons in weight. 1 unit is required for a training team and 2 to 3 for a production team. This unit is only used on day 2 process. This unit should be equipped with a water reservoir attachment that can provide wetting control of the surface during the finishing operation. 1 fuel truck is recommended to be on site, with the number of pieces of equipment that are required to be used in the process of a PureCrete road-based project. Since the PureCrete process is a 2-day process, refueling could be an important function of this process. One maintenance truck is highly recommended to be on site and part of the equipment complement. An equipment failure can have a negative impact on the progress of the project, and for this reason a maintenance truck is added insurance that the production pace can be maintained. Preventative maintenance adds assurances that the equipment will give a long and uninterrupted service. Applications procedures. After the project planning and the soils analysis has been completed, the next function is to organize all of the elements to begin the PureCrete applications process. The pre-start preparation begins with the assembly of all of the equipment and a meeting with the operators to coordinate the operation. This is a very important function, and it assures that everyone is on the same page. The PureCrete application process is a 2-day operation with specific tasks requiring completion on each day. It is recommended that a production team divide the operational tasks into a day 1 and a day 2 operation. This provides the best, fastest, and most efficient results from the operators. It should be communicated to the operators that previous experience in road building that the PureCrete road-based process is different from and unlike any other experience that they have had before. It should be made clear that the directions set forth in these instructions should be followed without reverting to traditional experience. The first difference that will be observed is that the PureCrete method of road construction is without the requirement of additional aggregate from the amount that exists in the native soil. In fact, the amount of aggregate must be 10% or less. The area where experienced road builders may want to change or shortcut the procedure is in the 2-inch or 5-centimeter thickness of the layer of soil to be compacted. Experienced operators are trained to compact the soil in thicker layers. This is unacceptable for the processing of a PureCrete road base. First day, the water truck with a full complement of water, 2,000 gallons or 8,000 liters, mixed with PureCrete at a ratio of 2,001 is prepared, and the first water truck is put into service. Make sure that you fill the water truck tank first and then add the PureCrete. The water truck applies the water mixed with PureCrete on the soil ahead of the road grader. The water truck should precede the road grader to ensure that the product is well mixed with the soil. As part of the planning, there should be a turnaround area at the end of the selected area for application. This turnaround area should be large enough to allow the water truck and road grader to turn around and work in the opposite direction. The water truck driver should pay particular attention to managing the shutoff valve to avoid overwatering in the turnaround area, which would create a muddy mess. The grader with the rear-mounted rake attachment is used to plow the soil to the length of the designated segment of road. This ripping and scarifying of the soil is repeated to the desired width of the road until the entire segment is plowed and broken up into small particles. After the maximum depth is achieved with the scarifying, the road grader continues to mix the soil by moving the soil from one side of the road to the other side into a windrow. Continue to have the water truck wet the soil and have the grader continue to mix the soil in the same manner all day on day 1. The moisture content of the soil should be maintained between 7 and 12%. This process of mixing and breaking up the soil with the road grader prepares the soil for the next steps. A very effective in-process gauge of moisture content is to collect a handful of soil and press it into a ball. If it is too dry, it will not maintain a solid ball consistency. This indicates that the soil is too dry. If the soil is soft and resembles mud, it is too wet. The soil should be able to be pressed into a ball that can maintain the mass of a solid ball of soil. The objective is to wet as much of the surface area of the soil particles with PureCrete treated water as thoroughly as possible so that the enzymatic action can complete its designed process. At the end of day 1 of mixing the product with the soil should be left in a windrow on each side of the road overnight to aerate. Remember, it requires mixing over and over for the majority of the day, no matter what the length of the segment that is being processed. You should not allow the soil to dry out on day 1 mixing process. If a heavy rain occurs, the work has to stop and the mixing process will have to start over the next day or whenever the soil dries to the acceptable moisture level. If there is a light shower, work must stop and may start back up after it stops and the soil dries to a moisture content that is acceptable. If the soil gets washed away as a result of a very heavy rain, you have to start over with day 1 process. This is why we recommend that the process be done during a period of a non-rainy season. Day 2. The second day of the PureCrete application will require 4 to 5 pieces of equipment. The equipment should be organized to properly process PureCrete road base. Day 2 utilizes the water truck and the graders with the addition of sheep's foot compactors, drum compactors, and a pneumatic tire compactor. The water truck should be properly prepared with the proper mixture of PureCrete in the water at a 2,000:1 ratio. The water truck will begin day 2 by spraying the windrow to bring the moisture content up to the recommended level. The soil that is mixed on day 1 should undergo 1 complete mix with the road grader following the water truck. After this 1 mixing cycle, the compacting phase should then begin. Compacting process commences by directing the water truck to spray the soil ahead of the road grader that spreads a 2-inch or 5-centimeter thick layer of soil that is then compacted with a 10 to 15 ton sheep's foot compactor. A 15 to 20 ton tire driven steel drum compactor follows behind the sheep's foot compactor to complete the compaction of that single layer. The vibrating attachment is engaged on the sheep's foot and the drum compactor. All of the equipment turns around at a designated turnaround area, and the same process is repeated on the opposite side of the road in the reverse direction. This process is repeated for 3/4 of the soil that is to be compacted. At the 3/4 mark, the sheep's foot is discontinued and the vibrating attachment on the drum compactor is disengaged, and the remaining compacting layers is processed with just the water truck, the road grader, and the drum compactor. Continue compacting while you shape and dress the surface with a blade. Be sure to crown the surface to promote water drainage. Shape the shoulders to provide proper drainage. The key is the grader skimming off 2 inches of soil from the windrow and the compactors compacting it. The problem with experienced road builders is that they want to take off too big of a bite to compact to get it done quicker, and that is not the correct way to do this using PureCrete. The key to the PureCrete road is mixing on the first day and compacting process on the second day. You cannot rush this. The rationale is that by compacting thin layers, we are able to create a super strong layer because PureCrete aids in fusing the soil particles into a solid layer of soil that is equal to or in excess of 100% compaction. The process of compacting the soil in 2-inch or 5-centimeter layers provides the strength of the total compacted layer by building a road that is structured on the same principles as the plywood is structured, and this makes the plywood as strong as it is its layer configuration. The PureCrete layer is comprised of 25 to 30 or more 1/2 inch or 1.2 centimeter compacted layers. This is also why it is water resistant, and it does not absorb water and will not turn into a mud puddle and pothole. The purpose of a pneumatic roller compactor is to provide a smoother finish to a soil surface. This will create a very smooth finish which may be desired if a finishing layer such as asphalt or chip coat or concrete is not going to be applied. This finished application also aids in the preventing water from the surface passing through the compacted layer. 72 hours should be allowed for the road to dry and cure under normal conditions. If quarry dust is going to be used as a final finish, this should be applied after the final layer of soil is compacted and the pneumatic compactor is used to compact it into the final layer of soil. 3. If hot process asphalt is going to be applied, it can be applied on the 3rd day. If this is the case, the pneumatic roller compactor step is eliminated. The rough surface will best serve as a better surface to bind the asphalt layer. The hot asphalt process will flash dry the PureCrete compacted soil layer and create a finished road that will last for many years. If a coal asphalt or chip coat finish layer is going to be applied, the road should be allowed to dry and cure for at least 72 hours under normal conditions. In summary, the instructions presented here must be followed very precisely without deviation. Any altering or shortcuts taken can affect the outcome and success of a PureCrete road-based project. This method has been tested over many years, and this is the best way and the only approved way of applying PureCrete. This 2 or 3 day operation saves enormous amounts of time, and the strength of the compacted layer road base is without equal. Potholes are not a condition that occur in a PureCrete road. Repairs such as cracks due to seismic activity to a PureCrete road can be accomplished the same way repairs to a concrete road are done. Unlike conventional roads, a repaired PureCrete road area is as strong as the original process. There is no requirements for application of rocks or gravel to the surface of a PureCrete road. In fact, this application of rocks and large gravel is not recommended. The surfaces that are recommended are natural soil surface, quarry dust, pea gravel, chip coat, cold process asphalt, hot process asphalt, and concrete. The load bearing range extends from 40 to 250 tons.